Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, President. And dear colleagues, thank you for the messages that you sent to us. Just a quick word on Brexit, because Michel Barnier is still here. We can see that the institutions are fully in a position to work together, and it shows the very calm presence of the European Union, all of these principles of common sense that we feel so strongly about, the Parliament, the Commission, with the very strong role of Michel Barnier, means that we're working in lockstep. We're really supporting all of the efforts that are being made. We think that a deal is the best possible way, and we, of course, are concerned about a lot of the points that you have raised and that I raised myself and that Michel Barnier and Mr. Šefčovič also raised. So that's the first thing. Second thing that I wanted to mention, and a number of you did raise this point, and rightly so, fighting COVID-19. We are really at the heart of this combat, and we have to remain mobilized. We can see that the combat began in February and March of this year, and decisive decisions were made. We really mobilized the European Commission on the issue of vaccines, and that is essential. We can see that vaccines, even though they're going to be developed throughout the course of next year, we're going to need to make sure that they are there's full efficacy. And now we know that there is a second wave that is going to mean that we will need stringent measures with huge impact that will be social, psychological, and economic. And that is why we have to work unfalteringly to really focus on cooperation, specifically when it comes to tracing, to testing, to quarantine, to movement throughout the European Union, because we can all understand that in the upcoming months, even if we have vaccines in the next few months, we're going to have to continue nonetheless to use all of these measures to be able to slow down, to blunt this threat to our citizens, to a threat to our businesses. It's so hard for everyone. And in fact, we have to consider that in every single European government, this point is going to be debated and discussed such that we can come up with the right impetus for this issue. Now, you said very well that the pandemic means that sometimes we're going to have to be meeting through video conference, etc., and that's been done, and we've been able to debate that time and time again within the European Council. The third point that I wanted to mention, because a lot of you raised this point, and I understand very well, the situation in the Eastern Mediterranean. I really did want to underscore this fact. 6 years now I've been a member of the Council, but I've only been in the presidency for a short while, and for the first time, a few weeks ago, we had a strategic, in-depth 8-hour debate on this subject where we really looked at the Eastern Mediterranean and we looked at every single nuance in the subject. Yes, we have to be firm and unrelenting to make sure that our member states are being respected and their sovereign rights are being respected. That is the firm, unequivocal message that we are sending out. Moreover, we want to make sure that this double approach will be done with a more positive agenda, the most positive agenda possible, to lead to the cessation of any provocative behavior that is unacceptable. We are in constant contact in the United Nations, as you know, because, of course, there's a role to be played there as well when it comes to Cyprus. That role is going to be essential. And just rest assured that in the Council, we are fully mobilized to make sure that that European consensus is constantly being garnered and that is becoming more forceful and resolute to make sure that our values and our interests are being protected, that we all feel so strongly about, of course, and that I'm mobilized about. I also wanted to turn to Africa. Mr. Bullman and others raised that, and I think that is an excellent thing. Indeed, this is a neighboring continent, geographically speaking, and that means that we need to really rally through an alliance that will be an ambitious alliance with investment, of course, with infrastructure as well, with the Green Deal, no doubt, and the digital agenda, education, our health systems that has been brought to its knees indeed via COVID-19. And that's going to be done through a partnership of equals, defending, of course, the values that we hold so dear, rule of law, protecting human rights. Of course, these are all going to be fully factored in to progress this agenda to the benefit of Africa and Europe equally. And I think in my opinion, this is just a question of common sense, so we should work so well to make sure that that ambition becomes reality. Moreover, you raised the question of, well, I want to make sure that we don't have any misunderstandings here. here I am in the hemicycle today, and I hope I can correct some misunderstandings perhaps that we had. When it comes to 2030, we weren't in a position to make a decision on that 2030 target during the summit. We decided that we would have a strategic discussion, so not one on the drafting and the specific ambition country by country. That's a decision that we're going to have to make as quickly as possible, and I hope before the end of the year. But this strategic discussion was the first step, the necessary step, the indispensable step with the Commission, and we need the Commission on this point, of course. And what I noted from this discussion, that there was a trend that was emerging to support the 55% target set on the table by the Commission with due diligence to the national impact. And we could see that the Commission is mobilized with the member states, specifically some of them that are going to be more impacted and who are more specifically worried about the impact of this. Now, you can understand that all of the member states, when they decide to get to mobilize behind this, they're going to have to take the measures necessary to move towards results. And I think that this is really a central part, that before the end of the year, the December Council meeting, we will be able to make a decision on that subject. And I did state how strongly I felt about this green ambition for the EU is key. We are consistent in that, and we came up with a climate diplomacy. We decided to trigger that, and I'm happy that once the European Council made that decision, that there would be the climate neutrality by 2050 in less than 1 year's time from that decision being made. China 2060, Africa has made some statements on that. We're not naive on the subject, of course. It just shows that EU regulatory action can be put to the service of our values and to all of the things that we would like to be able to achieve. One last point that pertains to an essential question that has been raised, and that is on the upcoming European budget and, of course, the recovery fund. Indeed, I believe that we need to be able to find a creativity and strength that is really the magic of the European Union to come up with an agreement that we can then implement. Now, I want to just, with a great finesse, ask you, and with great respect, when we debate the numbers, let us say everything about those figures that we're putting on the table. Let us be honest about them. We saw that the proposal that was made by the Council according to the EP is not enough. And I respect that. But when you say that massive cuts were made to Erasmus and to innovation funds and to defense funds, perhaps it would be worthwhile to explain what these cuts are in relation to the Commission's proposal that is, of course, respectable, or if we think about the fact that this is the largest amount of money that has ever been mobilized for the EU in the history of time, 1.8 trillion for upcoming years, for Erasmus, for innovation, for the digital sector, for climate action. Well, the recovery fund is more than what China and the US is doing. So please, with all due respect, in the European Parliament, when you debate these issues, could you please give a more overarching overview of what has been proposed both by the Council and the Parliament? And thank you again, and I'm so glad that we're going to have a continuing debate together and to the service of the European Union. Thank you very much. Thank you, President Michel, and thank you, Vice President Šefčovič and Mr. Barnier, for having been here with us this morning.